Imagine if sometime we clap synced and just dove right into the podcast and didn't have like 20 more minutes
guys,
of
and otherwise,
shooting
this is Jonathan O. Roseline.
And I'm Noah, also known as Polyphonic. And you're watching or listening to Horns and Wings, the podcast where we read Saga one issue at a time.
Flawless. We're doing episode 16 that is about issue 16 today. And I'm going to call it now, just judging from this cold open. This is no pressure at all up front. This is going to be the best episode we ever do, just throughout the series. So
really revel in it, enjoy it, because it's all downhill from here.
Let's dive into it. Oh, I'm pumped for it. Hey, Noah, I have some business to discuss, some serious business here.
Oh, Saga business. Or
yeah,
okay.
And I hate to bring up any. I can't call it a negative review, but we got a measly 4 stars instead of 5 stars on a review on
Who? I'll find him. I know where you sleep.
Fun fact, it is such a pain in the ass to bring up Apple reviews on an Android phone for some reason. But someone who will go unnamed and is a fan of the show did point out that they claim every episode we've done this. Boy, I'm really calling someone out right now. Every episode we have apparently pointed out something and given a wink, wink, nod, nod to something that will come into play in a future issue, even though we say no spoilers. So this is my challenge to us, Noah, and it's to spoil the rest of the goddamn series for this one person. No, it's
Snape kills Alana.
It is. I'm gonna be a little more conscious of it's not pointing things out that will become significant, but also I think we've done a very good job.
I thought you were editing all those out in post. That's on you.
Fuck off. We've done a very. I think we've done a good job of like not giving away. Like when you thought Lion Cat was dead, we sold that
with my amazing acting skills.
With your amazing acting skills, and I think there's a ton of stuff that we've avoided spoiling, and it was very painful. And I have edited out a lot of stuff, but we're not doing good enough, Noah. Thank you for the 4-star review.
All right, we'll up our game. We will. You know what? For you, unnamed reviewer, I will up my game and really buckle down on the no spoilers rule. This sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm actually trying to be sincere.
Oh, and heads up, this is the last time we will ever heed. We're only going to listen to 5-star reviews from now on. And for every lower one we get, we will drop a major spoiler. Them's the breaks, man. Hey, I love this cover.
Oh,
This is a good cover.
It's a great cover. It's a bit of a different cover, but it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. What are we looking at here, Noah?
We're looking at our friends who have been framing this whole arc, Upshur and Doff. And they appear to be kind of in a nebulous war zone, maybe, with like giant flowers behind them that also kind of look like explosions. They've got gunfire coming at them. They're standing in a puddle. Upshur is speaking into a recording device and holding a helmet that says, "Please do not kill," in homage to Full Metal Jacket. Again,
the Born to Kill.
Yeah, he manages to sneak in these pop culture references. And Doff is busy taking a photo of something. The palette is beautiful. It's on a deep blue background. We've got these vibrant oranges and reds and then greens all in the foreground. It's just a really, really dynamic cover. I
just noticed something on this too. The strap, the lanyard thing on the camera says Ico on it, the producer of these eye cameras.
Is it Ico or iGo?
Both.
All right.
Alien word.
Yeah.
Could be either.
Yeah.
Could be either. Greatest episode ever. This is a good. I love the because it's like, yeah, these like glowing orange plants behind them that are growing upwards and look like an explosion. It is such a cool little touch on this.
And then we turn the page and we get probably the most beautiful opening splash of the series.
If you love Taint, which we all do. Oh, it's great. We got. Hey, I'll take this first one. No,
all right.
Don't worry.
You've definitely plotted this out because there's a scene that you want later on, isn't there?
Not even remotely. I just want to talk about this Taint. So we get a gorgeous eyeful of Special Agent Gale in full running, or I guess flying gear, exercise gear, and it looks like he's about to land on us. And he's looking down. He says, "No comment." And we turn the page to see that it is atop a building, I'm guessing on landfall. And we see Upshur and Doff starting the issue out like every other issue. And they say that they this is a public landing platform. What do they call it?
Yeah.
Landing pad.
Landing pad.
And that they want to come in and talk about a certain photo, and they have a photo of Alana, and you can see her wedding ring on it. It seems like a security cam photo. Special Agent Gale quickly has them come in, and he pops that shirt off. Ooh, mama. Spicy shirt action. And he says... He does something that I absolutely love here. And he says that she's not a deserter of the army. She's a spy. Maybe the best we've ever had, he says. And that is she's deep undercover. Then he talks about how the Moonies apparently have attacked Jetsam, have done some damage to Jetsam, the planet where Upshur and Doff are from. Upshur and Doff say that they still, despite who's attacked them, they still appreciate truth over anything else on their planet. And Special Agent Gale points out, right, you people are so much more principled than the awful warmongers you feed off of, as long as you happen to be part of Jetsam's heterosexual population, of course. And notes that it could be career-ending if it were to get out that someone, who knows who, was homosexual. And he tells them to please consider all the things he said before writing any articles, and has them leave the apartment. And as he's closing the door, he calls our good friend Seahorse Desk Man on the island beach, and says he needs a rush job. And get his, even though they generally don't do journalists that have freelancers kill journalists, he's going to pay, quote, super rate for both Upshur and Doff to get killed. And the Seahorse Man says that unfortunately they can't send their best man because he has not been returning their calls in reference to the will. And he's looking at the will's emergency contact list in his file. And it says mother, and then crossed out, and then Uncle Steve, and crossed out, and then the brand, in parentheses, only in case of death. And Seahorse says, but I can get you a close second, I'm guessing in reference to this brand. And that's the end of that scene, and I love this scene.
So there's a lot of wonderful things about this scene, but there's also something that I want to bring up that I'm not super comfortable with in this scene, which is that Gale drops an F-bomb and not fuck.
Yeah.
And
bad F.
Yeah, and I don't think it's entirely necessary or particularly earned there. No. So, yeah, I just want to... What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to say this was, 2013? And I will say, thinking back, and this is not an excuse for it, but I will say, thinking back, that we were, as a collective, significantly less conscious about these things. You will see, like, the R word in some of these comics too, and like just a lot of very dated things. And I mean, even go back to Runaways, and there's still it's one of those sort of downfalls of of being a quote unquote edgy comic and pushing boundaries at the time. But
Yeah.
also it's just like, and it's, and it's also coming from a super shitty character.
Yeah. I think that's it's definitely coming from someone who is supposed to be a douchebag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel iffy about this one. It feels like that's like I don't have issues. I don't think that you shouldn't be able to use these words if it actually like contributes to the story that you're telling. But I don't really know how much it serves in this context. And I think you're completely right in that it was a different time, but I think it's worth reflecting on these things, and especially because like this is one of the first moments in Saga where I'm like, ooh, that hasn't aged great, which is a rarity in fiction that's closing in on a decade old.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even gotten to the character that's named, it's one of the freelancers named the N-word. It's not even like that's, it's literally the N-word is the name of the character, and I'm just really confused by it. But, some things just don't age well, I guess.
In case on our spoiler watch, that is a joke. That is not an actual spoiler.
Please, 5 stars. 5 stars, not 4. We didn't spoil the N-word freelancer. No, this is, it didn't age well, and it made me go oof.
Yeah. But now that that's out of the way,
what, Noah? Do you see anything special about Special Agent Gale's outfit here?
I do. I see 2 special things.
Them balls.
Well, actually, one I don't specifically see in this shot. I see later on. But the thing that I see special in this shot is the same logo as Isabel's shirt, is it not?
It is. And it's that sort of flaming winged heart, which it makes sense because also Gale, remember, has bat wings and it seems like he's going through a perpetual emo douchebag phase, if that's possible.
It's not even like emo though, because he's got the like bleach blonde hair and the pink shoes. I forget. There's definitely a movement that is part of, but I don't know the name of it. But it's like the post emo douchebag.
Right. I'm confused about. Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna point out, which I appreciate and just now realize, that the shirt in the back seems to like sort of strap up or button up.
Yeah, that's the other thing I noticed.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that, and I was like, "That's weird. What happened to this shirt?" But it's because he has wings.
Yeah,
and you have to have that.
Yeah. Also, are his shoes the shoes from Back to the Future? Because they look pretty close to that.
Not quite, but yeah, they're running shoes, which is hilarious to me because he's clearly just flying.
I also just love seeing in this opening shot, the background, you've got all these different people just kind of flying around. Like you're getting a view of urban life on Landfall where people just like fly from place to place casually, and people have, as we see, landing pads outside of their house.
Yeah, which is great. That's how you get to your penthouse apartment, is on your landing pad. And also, you know what? Here's a question I want to propose to you. Is it possible that this is Isabel's shirt?
Is it possible?
That is my question. Because she's dead. It could have been gotten from...
But her shirt is a different color.
Yeah, but here's the thing. All of her is a different color because she's a ghost, and everything is
true.
Shade of pink. And also, looking at the sleeves, you can tell that the sleeves have been ripped off. Like this has been turned into a...
maybe here you can spin one of your wild conspiracy theories about this shirt.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, and also that's one of the people who are fighting on her planet. So it's very possible that he just found a dope shirt from a corpse.
In the meantime, I'm gonna look at another little fun Easter egg in this scene.
Yes.
Do you notice anything about the picture of Alana there?
Yeah, so we see her reaching out and grabbing something, and that's why we get a good look at her wedding ring. But what she's grabbing is her signature cape jacket, her tan jacket. And this is her stealing it off of a clothing line, which is rad.
That's fun.
And it's like, it's just like a nice little one-panel origin story for this little outfit of hers. I love it.
I think the other thing I like in this scene is we're starting to see a lot more of Upshur in action and kind of seeing how he asks his questions and how he does kind of the journalist trope of like, I don't even know how to describe it, like insinuating that someone will be in trouble if they don't answer the questions and kind of like you know how a lot of journalists in media and real journalists don't actually tend to look like this. We'll talk about depictions of journalists in media someday because I have a lot of thoughts on that, speaking as someone who was trained as a journalist. But like he's very much and I mean it's fitting that he's got the full metal jacket.
Noah, just say it. Not all journalists are blue amphibious creatures, which I know has been rampant in pop culture for years and years. But I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It needs to stop.
But yeah, it's I think we're really starting to get a sense of Upshur and kind of the Upshur and Doff dynamic of the ambitious, intuitive journalist and his trusty, silent cameraman. So I have a really big question about this scene too before we move on. Who's Uncle Steve? What's his story? What's his deal?
I'm not allowed to say.
Can we get an Uncle Steve origin story?
No, we can't risk it. I need my stars, Noah. I need my Apple stars. I don't know, but I like how I feel like that is just a nice little like explain a thing about the will of his father is not an emergency contact.
Yeah,
because he seems like the type that had a rough childhood, perhaps.
Also, his mother and uncle are out of the picture in one way or another.
Yeah, that's a good touch. There's so much world building and just fun little, like, I love those scenes that are just like, give me little candy treats of knowledge along the way.
Yeah. It's like E.T.
And I especially appreciate it because I can pretty much promise you that 90% of the stuff we talked about I did not notice on any other reading of this.
Yeah.
Even like this comic rewards. It's so funny because this is the most readable, like, breezed through comic ever, and it rewards like deeper readings so much.
This issue in particular is just loaded with like little Easter eggs. So, speaking of which, let's turn to the next page, and here we have a sudden shift in tone. We've got this like. So this is 3 panels, and it's in black and white, and the shading is like a lot more dramatic. It's clearly a different style than Saga, and we have some beautiful lettering. We've got a little bumblebee person or person wearing a bumblebee costume, unclear which, saying "show yourself," and then narration says, and the terrible Odendron did, and this giant fucking crazy thing pops out of like a Mario sewer pipe.
A Mario pipe,
Yeah, and says, we get this narration, you may have crossed the street all by yourself, little boy, but you forgot to hold on to something very important. And midway through that, we cut it cuts from the narration of this story, and you realize this is Oswald Heist reading a story to the little lump of Hazel sitting on his lap. We get our Hazel narration saying, it wasn't exactly action-packed, but if most of your childhood didn't look exactly like this, I feel sorry for you. And we see they're in the lighthouse. Everyone's kind of sitting around reading books and newspapers, just kind of chilling, and it looks cozy. Upon hearing the story that Heist is reading, Marco says, isn't that a little dark for Hazel? And then everyone else has their input. Clara says that they've read way harsher stories to Marco. Isabel says that she learned the alphabet from one of her parents' guerrilla training manuals. And then Oswald Heist gives a little mini lecture on the hero's journey. He talks about the hero's journey, and he says what it really learns is break the rules as often as you can, because who the hell doesn't want to have an adventure? So then Alana asks if he loves kids' books, why hasn't he written one? And Oswald Heist says he doesn't like artists, and it requires collaborating with an artist. And his old partner, his second wife, called Yuma, was an artist and also certifiably insane. And he says that she works in the open circuit these days, doing set painting. And we kind of get people talking about the open circuit, which in this context just kind of seems to be like TV, a TV network, maybe. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of the scene. A little scene, just more kind of just talking about character development and setting some stuff up.
Noah, I need to get into this immediately.
Yep.
Take you on a little journey here.
Yep.
So like you mentioned, we have that open, which is we didn't get this is a great transition. I like that we didn't get just the straight up planet transition.
Yeah.
We had the very purposefully confusing get you out of your chair a bit transition to just black and white and way more painted. We see painted characters for the first time, not on a cover. Because it is an illustrated children's book. And I also love that the panels are about the same size too, as if it's...
I adore the lettering in this children's book. I am all about these kinds of fonts. It looks like almost like a Garamond font maybe, but looks super kind of like worn and printed.
Yeah, it has that printing feel to it. The little imperfections on it. But so as you pointed out, this terrifying, probably the scariest creature we've seen in this book so far, the Odendron, is coming out of this pipe thing. And I was like, okay, this has to be a reference to something. So I looked up Odendron, and do you know what I found, Noah?
What?
I found Philodendron on Facebook and nothing else. And I was like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something more to this. And then I started thinking about, like, what would Odendron be? And then I fucking figured it out, Noah, and this is going to blow your goddamn mind.
Did you do some etymological detective work?
I used my brain for once in my goddamn life. That is the closest to detective work I will do. I Googled Philodendron and then I thought about it for like 4 minutes straight, just being like, what the fuck is this? And then I realized rhododendron is a plant.
Yep.
And Noah, where is this thing coming out from?
Oh my God.
So as we discovered, this is a terrifying children's story about holding someone's hand when you're crossing the road. And what, of course, is the most dangerous thing while crossing a road? The odendron, the rhododendron, and that pipe is not a pipe, it's a plant pot.
Oh.
Planted firmly on the road, and you see the petals around its head. It's a giant, terrifying flower monster, and it's a rhododendron. So, you know what? When D. Oswald Heist says that children's illustrated books are one of the highest forms of art in the universe, I'm starting to think he's right, because this has so many goddamn layers to it, and I am so impressed.
Also, in the background, there appears to be people crucified in another plant.
Implanted in pots.
This is exactly the kind of children's book that I would expect exists in the Saga world.
I fucking, again, just like Nighttime Smoke, I want this to exist so bad. I would love to see just an offshoot Saga issue. Matt Fraction's Hawkeye did this great one where the whole issue is just like a Christmas a cartoon Christmas special that he falls asleep during.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's like reflecting his life and stuff because it's the dream version of the Christmas special. I would love to see the just a whole issue. That one's for free, Brian. You can use that. A whole issue that's one of the children's books following Weber, which I couldn't figure out anything for Weber. I think that's just a cute bee name. It says there's bee in it. If you spell it backwards. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I was so excited to figure that out. Fucking Odendron.
The other thing in this scene, Easter egg number like third maybe of the issue. What's that newspaper that Clara's reading there?
Do you want to take a crack at saying it, Noah?
It's the Hebdomadal.
Hey, you did it. Better than I, yep.
As we learned last week, means weekly, and is also the thing that Upshur and Doff write for. Real good circulation.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I love how consistent that is with Heist's taste in things, because it is clearly established that this is a bit of a rag. This is just tabloids, and that's what he's reading. He's great.
I think in this scene, and generally I think this is we've brushed around this a little bit, but I think Heist, any time that an author writes an author, there is, whether intentionally or not, there is definitely some kind of insertion of self into it there. And I think you see some of Brian K. Vaughan's kind of ideas and sensibilities, especially in the speech about kind of the hero's journey in children's books.
There's definitely some self-insertion going on here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. Which, like, I will say, because we were a little critical of Brian K. Vaughan on last week's episode, just with his whole like don't be a consumer
creators are gonna save the world.
Yeah, creators, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's pretty ham-fisted, but also it's like, I 100% believe that too, or else I wouldn't be doing like what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't really want to be hypercritical of it. And it's a shitty position, because I'm sure that's why Brian K. Vaughan does what he does too, and he sincerely believes this. And of course, you're going to get the perspective of a creator for this book about, what's the answer to war, creation. And so, yeah, it leaves me in a weird spot where it's just like, it feels... I don't know if it's like sincere criticism, or it's just like my, my upbringing of be as like self-humiliating at all times.
Yeah.
And how dare someone give any credence to what they're doing and take it seriously.
But I will say one difference between Oswald Heist and Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan has no issue collaborating with artists.
I love, that's such a good expression on Heist's face.
Oh, I know. He just looks terrified. Speaking of artists, can you open us up to this goddamn gorgeous panel that starts the next scene?
Yes. So we get, instead of an outside of Montania, we get a shot of the Onion ship landed, and we're getting a sunset with the mountains casting shadows, and it's fucking gorgeous. And Gwendolyn is wandering through the woods with Lion Cat, calling out for Sophie. Then takes a bite of a fruit, which we all know is a good thing. And then she hears a voice soon after that. In blue, she turns around, and we get a hard-on. We get a reveal, much like the original stock reveal. We get a reveal of horned woman with a unicorn horn, and she is entirely naked, and she has her pubic hair shaved into a star. and she's holding a silver whip that matches her carpet and drapes, let's say. And she says something in blue here. Who knows what? Gwendolyn recognizes her, says Valor, and then says to Lion Cat, Cat, the person who took my virginity is standing before me. And Lion Cat, super confused, says, lying? And Gwendolyn says, fuck, we have to get back to the ship, and makes herself throw up. And when she throws up, Valor sort of just dissipates the illusion of Valor. And Gwendolyn says, I hate to think what your master is looking at. And that's the end of that scene.
Hey, bisexual representation.
Yeah, I'm digging it. Again, that's what. Wow, who was that? I don't know. Someone who was connected to, I think, Star Wars, said that. How do you? Oh no! It was of course Donald Glover in reference to playing Lando. And saying that, like, how do you not be pansexual in space when there's so many things to fuck? and I appreciate it. But yeah, no, this is same species, same gender. And one thing that I'm interested in, I don't know if you made this connection. I feel like it's a pretty easy one to make.
Is the grooming routine?
Yeah.
Because that is a well-kept star pube.
She stole my bush. I'm furious about it. No, I love that. What's interesting to me is that she has silver hair and a unicorn horn, but is clearly a bit younger, probably around Gwendolyn's age, and is named Valor. And if you remember to issue 1, we met a higher up for the horns, and she had silver hair and a unicorn horn, and her name was Vez. So I'm thinking this might be offspring.
And it is pretty established. It is pretty established that Gwendolyn like has connections high up.
Yeah.
With Wreath. Like it's not like we've seen her just as like a random person. She's
you know what?
Part of a powerful family, I'm pretty sure.
I think it was specifically Vez that or actually no. It was Gwendolyn that called Seahorse Man and then ended up being there. But it was Seahorse Man was working with Vez, and then apparently Vez sent Gwendolyn. So yeah, I like, again, this is just random little connection. That's cool.
I love the names in Saga, and like Valor is such a good name for this like beautiful unicorn woman with a star bush.
Yeah. There's a lot of I appreciate there's a lot of those like cellar door names. Like,
yeah. It's not exactly describing what she is, but it makes a lot of sense, and it's a word that makes sense as a name too.
Mm-hmm. Right. Also, God damn it, I'm angry about this. Even the sun on Mountania is a mountain.
Yep.
we get a like a pyramid sun, which is, I think that's the first time we see that, or we just weren't paying attention before. But that's really cool.
I think a thing I want to talk about here is we get okay, I'm sorry, give me 4 stars. Spoiler incoming. There's more nudity to come in Saga.
Fucking down to 3 stars.
And we've gotten plenty of nudity already, and I think it's
2 stars.
I think it's really cool that we've got a female artist drawing a lot of these women's bodies, because I mean, I'm not a woman, so I can't exactly speak to this, and it's still clearly like full frontal nudity, but it doesn't feel quite as like kind of comically sexualized as a lot of men's comics.
Yeah, this doesn't feel
Rob Liefeld-esque.
Yeah. This doesn't feel specifically constructed for the male gaze.
Yeah.
Like there's some like we see folds that we generally do not see.
Yeah. And I mean, It's easy for me as a male to sit here and say that. So I don't really know, but I think I would feel a lot less comfortable with some of the stuff in Saga if it was drawn by a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like that applies to so many things with comics anymore for me, though. But yeah, no, it's there's an honesty, and also like it's still, I like that it's still clearly sexual, but it is it is not even remotely traditionally sexual.
Yeah,
I think is the thing here, which is rad. Hey, do you want to know what she's saying in blue?
Yes.
So when she first gets her attention off panel,
I'm guessing she says, "Gwendolyn, my love."
She says, "Gwendolyn, my love."
Yes.
In her splash page.
My maltrifis vintium. Mm-hmm. Is that what she says?
That's what she says. She says, "My maltris is vintium." She says, "I missed you so much." And then next panel, she says, "Sweetheart, we can finally be happy here," which is a nice little, like, sort of, it seems like well, I mean, if she's sleeping with her boss's daughter, that adds up.
Yep.
And then when she starts to make herself throw up, Valora says, "Please, you have to believe me," pleading for her life. So yeah, I like that. I like that we can finally be happy here. That's a nice little touch.
Yeah, here's my question is, I mean, would it be that bad to stay on the hallucination planet with a hallucination between, it doesn't always seem to be sexual partners, but it seems to be someone you love, because
Right.
Sophie saw her mother. Would it be that bad to stay with a hallucination of someone you love? And just, like, live on this gorgeous planet?
I love this question because I remember, I think it was just a general, like, intro to ethics or something class that I took in college. And the professor asked, if you were given the choice to have your memory wiped and be put into a simulation where you could choose what the rest of your life would be, but it wouldn't be real, would you do it? And you'd be taken care of and you'd be fed and everything. What would you do, Noah, in that situation?
I mean, here's the thing. I'd probably do it because, like, I don't entirely know that my reality is happening anyways.
Exactly. I was the philosophy douchebag kid in class who I was like, yep, because I might be a brain in a jar already.
Because whatever I'm experiencing is my world, and in theory, I assume in this, and if we're using this to not, if we're not fully diverging, if we're staying a little on topic, Mountainia, which I'm glad that name has stuck.
I hate it so much.
Doesn't want people to know that they're hallucinating. It's not like you're aware that you're hallucinating.
Right.
Or I guess you're kind of. I guess the people become aware, but I think you could live in blissful ignorance of that. And if I know I'm hallucinating, it might be a little different. But if I don't know, or if I just conveniently choose to ignore that, I'm about
here's
it.
Here's the thing that changed my answer over time and proves how terrible of a person you are, is that now I have a wife. I'm just like, I would be willfully leaving my wife behind.
Yeah, there's that whole business too, and the state of the universe and planet and all those things.
Right. That's actually one of my favorite theories for why we haven't met intelligent life, is because humanity will, before getting the technology to travel through the universe, they will get the technology to just have really fucking good simulations, and then everyone will just live in simulations instead, because why the fuck would you be out in the universe? And you know what? That's why Second Life is why we haven't gone to Mars yet.
You want to know my theory as to why we haven't met intelligent life? Because intelligent life is too busy watching the open circuit. That's a transition.
Oh, fuck. And listen to this podcast.
All right.
Your turn.
Yeah, so once again, we have a non sequitur transition. We see a masked man saying, "No fucking way, you had an abortion without telling me." And he's talking to a superhero woman clad in pink with a like chest gap that's shaped like a heart and in very kind of sexualized clothing.
Very power girl.
Yeah, exactly. Very power girl. And she says, "We'd only been dating 6 months. What was I supposed to do, Slipjack?" And then we get a Kazakh's sound effect, and we see these characters' feet, and we're looking in on a mostly empty theater, with Marco looking very ponderously and a mummy yelling "kill her off already" and a couple other people. And then we see Marco reaches around his head, and we see he's in like wearing basically an Oculus Rift, and pulls it off, and says, "It's certainly loud, but I'm not sure I understood the subtext." And Alana explains that this is basically just like cheap melodrama, but that she once considered running away and joining the circuit and becoming an actor. And Marco says, "You should do it." And then he's got this great quote, "Better actors than more soldiers," which is nice. To which Alana says, "Then you've never dated an actor." But yeah, we kind of end the scene with a nice image of Marco and Alana looking down at Hazel and deciding that, hey, maybe Alana should try out this acting thing to support Hazel.
This is, gosh, I like this scene a lot.
I like
this scene a lot.
I'm so fired up that we've been introduced to the open circuit. I love the open circuit. I'm so about the open circuit.
So first of all, I love that it is Brian K. Vaughan's so smart about transitions in that they are only jarring and confusing when what is happening is jarring and confusing no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, they're not jarring and confusing transitions when we're going to Mountainia. But they are when it's just like when it's like that opening splash level of just throwing us into the deep end of this already absurd thing that we don't recognize anyway. And so it's just like, let's go as crazy with it as possible. But did you notice the setting for this argument between these two superheroes?
I actually didn't. It looks like it's just like an office.
Yeah, it's just an office space, and it's two superheroes arguing about an abortion. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so already we're getting a taste of what the open circuit is, and it appears to be cheap daytime TV, but with superheroes. And it seems like Slipjack is shooting lasers out of his eyes in the second panel.
Yeah. And they do point out that we kind of glossed over is the fact that the closed circuit is or is it open circuit? Which one is it? Open circuit.
Open circuit.
Open circuit. The open circuit is sort of illegal. They specifically have, like, that's why people are wearing masks, is because they're not supposed to be doing this, and they move around a lot. They're referred to as carnies by Alana at one point, but they move around a lot because the capital C censors are trying to shut them down. But it is not illegal to watch it. It's just illegal to produce it.
The world building. We get we're introduced to yet another aspect of Saga's world, and once again, it is just fucking fascinating. I also love that it's like virtual reality, but you're not like immersed in the story. You're sitting in a theater watching it in virtual reality, which is also just like great. And in this theater with Marco, there's a straight up mummy. But then there's also a member of Upsher's race
wearing Little Mermaid.
Seashell bra.
Yeah. But how like, let's just take a moment to appreciate how fucking phenomenal the world building in in Saga is that we can introduce just a straight up mummy. We've had no horror icons as of yet in this series. It is just a dude who's a mummy watching a soap opera yelling at the, the actors.
And you see that and you're like, oh, okay, yep, that's a mummy.
And it's immediately it's just like, yeah, of course. Obviously. What fucking good on them. Like, we've been analyzing this to death. I still don't know how they managed to pull that specific thing off, because it's fantastic.
I also just love the look on Marco's face with, like, his arms are crossed. He's got a hand on his chin. Just, like, imagine making that face when you're watching, like, The Real Housewives or something like that.
I love it, especially that line, but I'm not sure I understood the subtext. I love that he's been exposed to so few like shitty pieces of entertainment that he just assumes that everything is secretly brilliant, like a Nighttime Smoke is.
Yeah, it's also just so true to Marco's character that the way he consumes art is to just like try to figure out the subtextual message, and he doesn't just like watch and enjoy stuff.
Right. It's great. He's the best. That's a good scene.
And now we get some trademarked Hazel transitional narration. Some HTN.
Classic.
Or THN.
HTN. Noah, don't fuck this up. HTN. We're so close. We're down to 1.5 stars right now, Noah.
I feel like this guy is going to feel really called out.
Thank you so much he said nothing but great things except for that one thing. It was a sincere criticism of the show. Being such dicks about it.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for listening.
I understand if your next review is 3 stars.
Or 5 stars. We're giving you a lot of airtime here, man. So
with no shout outs to their actual name.
Which is, I don't know if that's a disservice or protection at this point. But we get the HTN of, after years of pitched battles, my father was ready for a significantly less stressful career. And then we get the transition to, unfortunately, he decided to try raising a girl, and we get Sophie stepping on the Will's neck as he bleeds out. And then Gwendolyn and Lion Cat come in, very surprised at what they're seeing. Lion Cat immediately freaks out and jumps at Sophie to protect the Will. Gwendolyn yells at Lion Cat not to do that, grabs her staff, and hits Lion Cat off of Sophie. Sophie is just repeating frantically, can't leave here, can't leave here, can't. And Gwendolyn just grabs her arm and knocks the knife out of it and says, shut up, and explains to Lion Cat that she's been poisoned, and she ties her up with some green cord, and says to Lion Cat that they're too far from an emergency room. They need to get a healing spell done on the Will to save his life, and she can't do it, but her ex-boyfriend can, and so their best bet is going and finding Marco to have him grant a healing spell on the guy that's trying to hunt them down. And she ends it with, I swear, and there's a very like begrudging and sad Lion Cat that's disappointed that she's not lying.
Another scene with great movement, great Fiona Staples action. Really, like, it just lends itself so well to reading this action and feeling it. I like the kind of Lion Cat sounds throughout, and especially the one kind of rar that goes, or 2 rars, one on each kind of page that go through the gutters. Yeah,
as like transitional. Which really keeps it moving. And also pay attention to the lines between the panels and the shapes of the panels and how everything is sort of at an angle. Is off kilter during the sequence, and then once things start to calm down, the panels literally calm down and even out again, which is fantastic.
Fiona Staples does that a ton, and it's great. It it's such a simple thing that is so easy to miss, but just kind of subconsciously affects the way you read. Also, can we talk about how fucking hilarious this transition is?
He decided to try raising a girl, and it's a girl murdering her father figure.
And the look on Sophie's face, like when we pull out and see her face.
Yep. Just that is such a stomping face.
Yeah.
I just one other thing I want to just appreciate about this scene, because that last panel with Lion Cat's expression is it's just so expressive and so great and perfect.
Great acting by Lion Cat. Good job.
And just one of those things that just like it's so fucking good that it I no longer take for granted how perfect everything about this book is, and it pulls me out far enough to be like, holy shit, this is such a great book. And then what I did was I went back and looked at, for those of you at home, a fun little exercise you can do, go back and look at issue 1, which is not that far off from this. We're only on issue 16. Look at issue 1 and look at just the just increase in quality of the art and how much cleaner it is and how much clearer it is. Yeah, it's night and day at this point. And that art was already fucking amazing. And it's just like Fiona Staples is just getting better and better as the series goes on. And it's
wow, yeah. Going back and looking at this, wow, it's like way rougher. It's interesting.
It's like trying to play Skyrim now. It's just like, how did I do this? No, it's still like, it's crazy because that first issue is still better than all books. But it's just like, it just becomes so polished and so pristine and fantastic. I love it.
All right, last scene.
Yep. Oh, you get to take this one.
We get some Hazel narration. I don't know if this counts as THN though, because it doesn't start on the previous page.
TN. Noah. Noah. It's so important that you get this correct.
HTN.
We're down to a measly 4.8 right now. Noah. I need this to be the best episode ever. You're killing me. HTN. Editing that out. Go ahead.
All right. Hazel says, later that evening, my parents and I slept while the couple actually planning my future conspired. And we see Heist and Clara making sandwiches and drinking together. And we see that they're kind of, they were hoping to push Alana into the open circuit, and they kind of conspired this. And then Heist says there's always money in conflict, talking about kind of the drama there, which kind of surprises Clara. But then Heist clarifies, I abhor real violence, but fake violence is fucking brilliant. And then that launches into a really interesting debate that they have where Clara says that fake violence doesn't capture the glory of war, which is usually you're used to kind of it doesn't capture the terror of war.
Right.
And then she says, isn't there something beautiful about defending your homeland? And Heist says, it's just dirt. If someone's going to kill me, I'm going to run. And Clara says, and then when they keep on you like hounds, when they drive you to the very cliffs, where do you run then, Oswald? And Oswald runs upstairs and says, I'm going to find you a copy of that book that they were talking about. And then Hazel pops out of a couch. Not Hazel. Wow, that's a... And then Isabel pops out of a couch.
Man, we really are a 4.8 star podcast, aren't we?
Hey, you fixed that. You fixed that one in post.
I've reached acceptance in the grieving process.
And Hazel says he's completely into you, to which Clara says, I'm not blind, Wraith. And Hazel asks, Hazel kind of encourages Clara that she could pursue Heist, even though she is recently widowed. And then just as Clara's kind of coming around, Heist runs down and says, both of you hide. There's something coming this way. And we get, I guess you already know what happens next from Hazel. Prince Robot 4 finally rolls into town. And we see Prince Robot walking like a absolute fucking badass. We see Goose and Friendo in the background. And Prince Robot is calling his wife And we cut back to her, see that she's being helped by alligator maids, and going to a ball. He says he's headed into something unpredictable. And he says that he had a dream about their unborn child. And they were staying in a little cabin by the sea, and then the call fails. We cut back to, we see binoculars watching Robot walk, and then we turn, and our ending splash. Who is it that's behind those binoculars? It's Gwendolyn, wearing the Will's cape with the quarterstaff, just fucking it's so good.
And his fucking utility belt too, which is bad.
Yeah.
That's a closing spec. Oh, what's that? What's that? HTN, but HN or
HCN. HCN. Hazel closing narration.
Yep.
After that, things got action packed. Fuck yeah, they did. We know what's happening. We know what's coming.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Did you ever notice that thing at the end? The end of Empire Strikes Back.
Where Lando's wearing Han's clothes.
After Han's been kidnapped and they have a whole plan to go save him, they have Lando driving the Millennium Falcon, and he's wearing Han Solo's outfit for some totally unexplained and nonsense reason. And I fucking love it. But yeah, I love it. This is just a badass version of that and not total nonsense.
Yeah, that is completely... But I mean, the thing is... Yeah, no, I was going to say this is different, but it's really not that different.
Well, no.
I guess we know
sense.
The cape provides protection.
Yeah, no, the cape, that's the logic in my mind. She's wearing the utility belt, so she has like the lance and all he had like a bomb or whatever in the first issue. And the cape is bulletproof and stuff. So it makes sense that she's wearing this. And it just looks so badass. She's standing on a cliff. Her cape is billowing. Lion Cat's there. I was just going to say, it's crazy that this is only 5 pages, that this last scene, because there is just, it's so much that happens. It's so well done.
It's shit's about to hit the fan, and Vaughn and Staples make it very clear that that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think before we finish up and talk about the end, though, I think there's a really interesting discussion here too about kind of war and the nature of war, and it's interesting because I think that Brian K. Vaughan is kind of giving some compelling counter arguments to the pacifistic message that has dominated the series so far.
Yeah, no, there's kind of 2 arguments that go unaddressed here, because Heist says the first one is that Heist says that real violence is awful, but fake violence is fucking amazing. And that doesn't necessarily get justified by him, but I guess it's kind of getting justified by the book itself. The book is making that argument, but yeah, and then there's that amazingly complex argument that Clara is making here, that what happens is war acceptable when it seems like it's the only thing you can do to survive.
Yeah.
And just sort of gets untreated here.
I find this I've always just found this such a compelling topic, because I kind of I generally like to believe in pacifism, but it's so impractical some of the time. It feels like, how can you actually be a pacifist, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is we're getting into that a little bit, and I'm here for it. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and at that point you can even, this is like high-end philosophical stuff where you can get into stuff with like Gandhi and with MLK and stuff like that about pacifism. And it is a very layered and very complex argument, and I love that he brings it up here, and there's none of that well, it's okay for creators to do it, but just don't do it, and not give I like that he's just openly asking this question without a resolution. And in a way, it's almost like a teaser for the series too.
Yeah,
when the
absolutely.
series has been consistently about the shitty things about war, and then it raises this very, very valid question of, but is war justified ever? And I hope we get into it. That's not a spoiler. I sincerely just hope we get into that.
And then we get this just like another brilliant conversation between Isabel and Clara talking about like her saying that Clara should pursue heist, and like Isabel is kind of always the voice of reason in these things. And what I love here is Clara kind of has this "how old are you" reaction to Isabel, and Isabel kind of smirks. That reminds me of one of my favorite books ever. That reminds me of The Ocean at the End of the Lane. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the moment where the narrator asks Letty Hempstock how old she is, and she says 11, and then he asks, "How long have you been 11?"
Right.
And it's that kind of like ageless, but still with a level of innocence.
Yeah. And also I like that, like, we've gotten a couple of hints that, just to Isabel's forced maturity too, because first of all, she's dead and she was killed by war, and she was at the center of a war at some point, and there's some maturity that comes with that, in the fact that she learned the alphabet from a guerrilla handbook. And I love that, like, there is also, like, it's, in a sense, it's implying that, she's been a ghost for a while, but also it's just implying that, like, even though she's young, she still knows shit. She knows shit. That doesn't disqualify her from being wise.
And then, after all of that, Prince Robot arrives, and just, like, it's such a, I mean, this isn't even really the payoff. I guess this is all still build up, but it's like so satisfying sitting on that cliffhanger that ended the last one for so long, and then like knowing it's coming and turning the page and seeing not only is Robot there, Gwendolyn and Lion Cat are too, and just like, I don't even have words for how fucking hyped this makes me.
Yeah, especially since, like, you, in your mind at this point, you think you kind of know how it's going to go down, but there's clearly this extra chess piece in there that's going to fuck shit up. But I love the foreboding march that's scoring that first panel of Prince Robot there in my mind.
I'm going to spoil ahead of this podcast. I didn't even mean to do that. I'm gonna jump ahead to before we do the official song of the week. Like, I just need to say that Prince Robot walking in here is battle without honor or humanity.
Okay, I'll take it. Mine is Walk This Way. These boots were made for walking.
It just like the slow-mo walk with him, and just like the swagger that he has. Man, God,
I'm trying to think of, like, what is a few things that are coming to mind, like the fucking one-winged angel from Final Fantasy, the Sephiroth song is very, like, and something that is just terrifying and foreboding. Also, one of the in my mind, one of the biggest redeeming qualities about Batman versus Superman was Hans Zimmer's Lex Luthor score had this, like, pounding classical piano, super foreboding shit, and that would be a good one for this. You know what? I'm going to say that's my song of the week. Hey, we just did song of the week. Whatever Lex Luthor's score was in Batman vs. Superman. But yeah, no, also I just love how that's juxtaposed with the alligators dressing the princess here. Two things I love about this panel. First of all, did you notice what's on her screen here?
I did not. It looks like a bar graph.
They're losing contact, and it's the reception bars that's lowering. That's fantastic. And also, I just love such a cartoonish face on the left alligator, this open mouth,
Yeah.
like just excitement. Which these look more like crocodiles than alligators. I don't know, but
I don't know the difference.
I'm from Florida, so I do know the difference. It's the one thing I know is, well, here's the thing. This is so specific for me because I know alligators and I know Disney, and I love that cartoony face there gives this such a Cinderella getting dressed by mice feeling.
Yeah.
Like it gives it it gives it such emotion. Like this feels like, she's twirling around and like and it's this frantic scene happening here.
And it's a really sharp juxtaposition between like even like the bright colors of that and just this calm Vancouver landscape of quietus. I can't stress enough. That's what it looks like out my window right now.
I fucking love the again, not spoiling here. This is me reading this fucking issue. I love that vague thing that Prince Robot says that gets cut off about the dream he had.
Yeah.
Is such a classic tropey sort of famous last words thing, which just cranks up the anxiety going into this scene so much for me, of just like it's sort of that. I mean, it feels like that semi-profound whatever the last words of Bar where it's just like it seems like there's meaning to this, and it's his call to his loved one. So I am very much on edge going into this next issue for the safety of Prince Robot here, because that is foreboding as all fuck. And we are going super long on this issue.
It's a great issue, and we're probably going to go long on next issue too, because next issue is amazing.
Yeah, and a guest that always adds a few things to it. But yeah, so what's your favorite moment for this one?
Oh God, it's so tough. I really want to say I'm gonna just say it's Prince Robot's arrival. That's it.
It's fucking good.
That's the moment where it's just like we've been through so much. The payoff is coming, and he looks so cool as he's doing it. Like it's shit's going down.
Yep. I'm gonna have to go with Rhododendron. I love the whole kids book thing and that revelation, and me actually being sold on the idea that kids books are fucking brilliant here. That is fantastic.
That was my other, and also Velour. I mean,
yeah. No, that's a great reveal. That's a great everything. And hey, Noah.
Yeah.
Let's listen to some. Speaking of great songs like Walk This Way, let's listen to a really good song here. Man, what a good song.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Question of the week. Do you have one?
I actually don't. I think this is 2 weeks in a row I don't have one.
It's 8 weeks in a row.
No, I will have you know that when I do have questions in the week, I just dump 4 at once into the same episode.
All right.
Okay, I've got one now.
Nope, too late. So my question: Do you have a question that is worth asking, Noah? This needs to be. We're aiming for a 4.9 star question here. No, we're ratcheting it up a bit.
All right. How does one reconcile a pacifistic ideology with the violent nature of the world?
Leave me alone. Well.
And your question, John, is it going to be who's Uncle Steve?
I hate that. We always come in with these like big fucking things, and no one wants to fucking answer them because you don't reconcile that. I was gonna ask, what's your favorite illustrated children's book? So pretty much the same question. So there's your 2 questions of the week. We're going out strong on this one. Noah, Where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Polyphonic. You can find me on Instagram at Watch Polyphonic. You can find me on Twitter at Watch Polyphonic. And you can go to Nebula, which is my streaming service. Well, not mine.
You already said it.
But it's a streaming service that I'm part of and I helped found. And I've got a new thing here on there where it's kind of something that people have been asking me to do since I started the channel, and I finally started it. It's a track by track take on Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, I've been waiting for this one forever.
So the first one's out. Go check it out.
Nice. Loving it. Yeah.
And what about you?
I have a subscription to Nebula, by the way.
You have a subscription?
I have a subscription to Nebula, by the way, and it's fantastic. I enjoy having it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Worth it. And just it feels nice to support people. So
yeah.
go do that. Speaking of supporting people, go check out patreon.com/makestuffstudios. I've been jumping back into the podcasts on there too. I interviewed my friend the Lone Chemist. You might have seen his video about what makes Thanos such a good villain on YouTube. That one was big. Interviewed him. I just did one. I have a couple interviews with Noah on there. I just did one talking about my experience with depression, because I want to be a bit more open about that. I've made comics about it and stuff, but I've never really talked about it on Make Stuff. So getting into that, and that's going live. It's been live for you folks. But yeah, check out, and then also you support the podcast too. You support stuff. It's great.
Also, can we just talk about, once again, follow at Wash Polyphonic.
Please follow at Wash
Twitter.
Polyphonic. It's
up to 11 followers.
And up to 3 tweets too. Some classics on there. So yeah, that's good stuff. And the Instagram, we're like 1 or 2 away from hitting 100 followers on the Instagram, and I've been starting to post some of the animations I do for the YouTube videos on there, and they look cool.
Oh, I should follow.
Please do.
What's the Instagram?
It's at Horns and Wings Pod, I believe. Thank you for asking that, because I should have mentioned it.
There we go. I was our 99th follower. Nice. And maybe I should just follow with my Polyphonic account, and we'll have a cool
deprived
100.
joy from someone else. Yeah, no, it's good shit. And of course, as always, thank you to Fiona Staples, Brian K. Vaughan, Phonographics and Image Comics for making seriously such a good book. And go answer the question of the week. And Noah, reluctantly, I'm going to let you close this one out.
Well, when faced with the difficulties of a violent world, sometimes we need to look deep inside and ask, am I shitting?
This truly was the best episode ever. Bye.